Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, HollywoodShono here, about to give you another Injustice 2 video. And in this video we give you the Silver Character Master Gear list as of patch 1.5. You guys were very vocal about certain characters and where to find gear, especially people like Dr. Fate, and this total list will give you that all together. So first off, we're going to start off with Black Canary. And you can find her chest plate in Chapter 6.6 Normal. For the gloves, you can find them in 7.18 Normal, as you can see right there. And for Black Canary's weapon, you will have to go to 7.6 Heroic. That weird looking thing that looks like her with a beard and a mustache is her weapon. And also her helmet is in Chapter 8.12 Normal. And the boots for Black Canary are in Chapter 8.6 Heroic and level 17. So all the gear for Black Canary is in Chapters 6 through 8. Most of the gear is in Chapter 7. A couple items in Chapter 8. Obviously, do your operations and do the basic chest every 3 hours. You have a chance to get her gear. Now, for Green Arrow, his gear starts all the way down in Chapter 4, 18 Normal. You can get a level 4 chest plate. However, if you go to Chapter 7.6 Heroic, you can also get a level 14 chest plate. And let me tell you, this is probably harder than most of the fights other than 7.23 Heroic. So the gloves also have 2 locations, 5.24 Normal. You can also get a higher level pair of gloves in 8.6 Heroic level 17. So the head place only has 1 location. And the headpiece you can get in Chapter 5.12 Heroic. Now the weapon does have 2 locations. The first one is in 6.18 Heroic. You can get a level 13 bow. And all the way in Chapter 8.18, you can get a level 19 bow. So the reason we're mentioning these multiple gear locations is that sometimes it's easier to farm a normal battle, and sometimes it's easier to farm Heroic. It really depends on your style. And the boots are in 7.18 Heroic. So all of Green Arrow's gear is between Chapter 4 and Chapter 8. But you can get everything by 7.18 Heroic. And to give you an idea, 7.18 Heroic has 199,000 threat. But if you use the team I got, you can probably beat it with 60 or 70,000 as long as you know how to cycle tech. So next up on the list is Bane. Bane, you can get the first gear item for him in 5.18 Normal, which is his boots. The second gear item for Bane is in Chapter 6.12 Normal, where you can farm his fragments. The chest plate is in Chapter 6.24 Heroic and level 13. So only 1 gear location for everything for Bane. And the other item is in 7.12 Heroic, his gloves. Alright, so Bane's weapon, whatever that thing is actually in Chapter 8.6 Normal. So you can get Bane's weapon in 8.6 Normal. So all the gear item for Bane is between Chapter 5 and 8. And personally, for all the silver characters, I'd like to see them throw more gear in the earlier battles. And even more gear in the higher battles, because it kind of sucks that cards like Batman, you can get all their gear within Chapter 4. And you can't get anything in Chapter 8. So, next up is Robin, and Robin, like Green Arrow, has multiple locations out of 3 of his 5 gear items. The first gear item you can get is Robin's gloves at 5.18 Normal. However, in 7.24 Heroic, you can also get level 16 Robin gloves, and consider I farm Enraged Bane every day and have been for the last 10 days, including the day after the patch. So I've been farming this for 13 days post-update, where you always get fragments, and I'm at 120 fragments. So 12 fragments a day. It's going to take about a month to get Enraged Bane all the way up to 5 stars, and I'm not going to stop until I do it, and then I'll probably just never do the fight again, unless they add more gear. So there's only 1 location for the weapon, and the location for Robin's blade is 5.12 Heroic. Now the chest plate does have 2 locations. You can get a chest plate at 6.18 Normal, but you can also get a higher level version on 8.12 Heroic. And again, the reason we're listing these multiple locations is that, hey, maybe you can farm 8.12 Heroic. Why not get a level 18 chest plate and save a lot of shards trying to farm it? So that's for that. So the boots are in Chapter 7.6 Normal. so you can get level 8 boots. They are also in 824 Heroic, so if you want level 20 Robin boots, you can pick them up there. The helmet only has one location, and that is 418 Heroic. So all of the gear for Robin is scattered. You can get all of it by 7.6 normal. However, you can get upgrades in high chapter 7 and 8. Now, Swamp Thing only has locations for his gear in one spot. So the boots for Swamp Thing you can get in 512 Heroic. For the headpiece, you can get that in 624 normal. For the chest plate, you can get that in chapter 6.6 Heroic. The weapon, you can get in 718 normal. And the gloves, all the way in 812 Heroic. So there's a lot of variants. You can start getting gear in chapter 5 Heroic. And Swamp Thing is not really that good of a card. His heal is even weaker than Atlantean Armor Aquaman's, and his is way better. And the Joker's gear is all scattered as well, unless you get it out of Operations or Basic Chest. So the first one you can get, the Joker's headpiece, is in 524 Heroic. The chest plate is in 612 normal. You can get a level 6 coat. The weapon is in 712 normal. And you can also get gloves for the Joker in 818 normal. That is actually heroic. 818 normal is for the Joker's gloves. So a lot of variants again for the Joker. Joker, unlike Swamp Thing, is a really powerful card. And you kind of wonder why it's so far back. Now, Dr. Fate's gear is buried even deeper, as the first gear item you get is in chapter 618 normal, which is his headpiece. Now, obviously, if you open up Hero Chest, you're probably going to have Dr. Fate before chapter 3. But, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the chest plate for Dr. Fate is in 724 normal. And it's going to be 159,000 threat to do that fight. A 70,000 threat team could probably do it if you play smart. The boots are in chapter 712 Heroic, level 15 boots. The weapon is in 812 normal, right in Dr. Fate's thing. It's a level 10 weapon. And the gloves buried all the way in the back of 824 Heroic. So you can get some good gear there. Now, Cyborg is another one of those cards that have some weird variants in gear. You can start getting his gear in chapter 2. Like the gloves you can get, or the headpiece you can get in 224 Heroic, the helmet. So that gear starts all the way in chapter 2. Now for the boots, you can go to 324 normal and get level 3 Cyborg boots. You can also go to 418 Heroic. And you can also get Cyborg's level 9 boots there. Also in chapter 5, 18 Heroic, you can get level 7 or 11 Cyborg gloves. In chapter 5-6 normal, you can also get Cyborg's weapon Plasma Cannon. Now you can also get that gear item in 8-6 Heroic, and you can get a level 17 cannon. I probably got quite a few actually farming that to 3 stars, and it did take a little bit. Now the chest plate starts off in 412 normal, so you can get it there, or you can also go to 712 Heroic. And if you need to farm the Joker, you're probably going to get a lot of those. Now next up for Harambe, most of the gear you can get by chapter 4. However, the first item, the chest plate, you can get in chapter 124 normal. You can also get the gear item in 112 Heroic, so you can actually farm for fragments, as you can see right there. Now the next gear item you can get is the weapon, which is in 218 normal. And yes, that is his weapon slot. You can also get the weapon all the way in 524 Heroic, so you can get a level 11 Gorilla Grodd, and if you're farming for Flora, Poison, Ivy gear, you're probably going to get that gear item anyways. So next up, we have the boots in chapter 3-6 Heroic. So you can get Gorilla Grodd's boots there. And the gloves, I can't remember if I talked about it, but you can get that in 212 Heroic. So those bracer gloves are in 212 Heroic. And finally, the piece you're probably going to get last, 412 normal, has Gorilla Grodd's headpiece. And if you farm for 724 heroic with Enraged Bane, you can get a level 16 headpiece. And yeah, there's a lot of 6.9 defense that I roll on that or something like that, or 6.4, 6.2. But yeah, that's what you get there. So we have quite a few more silver characters to talk about, and we're going to get right down to it. So next up we have Harley Quinn. There is two locations for her weapon. You can get her weapon in 1/6 normal. You can also get her weapon in chapter 124 heroic. It's kind of baffling that there's no like high level gear for Harley Quinn, as there's only up to 4/6 heroic for her gear. So now her chest plate is in chapter 1/8 normal, or her coat. You can also get it in chapter 3/18 heroic, and this is kind of fitting that you get all the starter equipment early. So next up we have the pants, and you can only get them in one location, chapter 212 heroic. Next up we have the helmet for Harley Quinn, and you can get that in chapter 3/6 heroic, which is like beer goggles. And finally the boots. Alright, so you can get Harley Quinn's pants in chapter 212 heroic. The gloves are in 218 normal, along with Harambe. And also in chapter 4/6 heroic, you can also get Harley Quinn's gloves. That's normal difficulty. So yeah, you can get Harley Quinn's gloves in normal difficulty. Next up we have Scarecrow. 1/6 normal has Scarecrow gloves. You can also get it in chapter 112 heroic. You can get Scarecrow's weapon in chapter 118 normal, and it is also in chapter 26 heroic. So you can get a level 4 weapon there. It's unfortunate you can't get any higher than that. So the helmet is in 212 normal, and it's also in chapter 4/6 heroic. So you can farm for Scarecrow's headpiece in both locations. The chest plate is in chapter 224 heroic, and the boots are in chapter 318 heroic, as you can see right there. And so you can get all of Scarecrow's gear by chapter 3. It's only one gear piece by chapter 4. Next up we have Wonder Woman. It's actually one of my favorite silver cards. She does a lot of damage. Maybe that's because that's the way I geared it up. Her first piece, the headpiece, you can get in 112 normal, and you can also get it in chapter 124 heroic. And considering this is a starter character, it makes sense to get it early. So the boots for Wonder Woman are in chapter 1/6 heroic, and it's the only place you can get it at. Her weapon is in 224 normal, and it's also in 324 heroic, as you can see right there, along with the Emerald Green Lantern fragment. So if you don't have a 5-star Emerald Green Lantern, I highly recommend farming that. You're probably going to get a bunch of level 7 gear out of this fight. So next up, we have the chest plate for Wonder Woman, and that is in chapter 212 heroic. Next up, we have Wonder Woman's gloves, which are in 312 normal, the bracers. And as you guys remember, back in the day, you used to always get Wonder Woman's bracers out of Atlantean Armor Aquaman's fight in 412 heroic, and that still holds true to this day. So that is it for Wonder Woman's gear. You can get all of it by chapter 3, but there is one upgrade you can get by chapter 4. Next up, we have the Flash, and his is a little bit interesting because one gear item actually comes out of chapter 8. So the first item is the chest plate, which is out of chapter 112 normal. The second location for the Flash's chest plate is in chapter 1/6 heroic. So pretty easy farm there. Now the Flash's helmet is in chapter 2/6 heroic. The gloves are in chapter 3/6 heroic. The boots are in chapter 4/6 normal, as you can see right there, and they're also in 524 heroic. And if you're farming Atlantean Armor Aquaman or Flora Poison Ivy's boots, more than likely you're going to get one of these gear items as well. And one of the most baffling ones is 418 normal has the Flash's weapon. However, I also discovered it is also in 812 heroic and level 18. So if you get a good roll on a level 18 Flash weapon, you might as well upgrade it to level 20 and hope you get a good roll as well. So it's one of the weird modifiers where you can get gear in Chapter 1 and gear in Chapter 8. And I really hope that they do eventually populate every gear item in like high and low levels, so you're not just stuck with like level 5 gear and forcing to upgrade. So next up we have one of the most popular characters in Injustice 2, Batman. And you can get his first gear item in 124 normal, his boots. You can also get those boots in Chapter 118 Heroic, as you can see right there. So next up we have the gloves, and they're only in one location, Chapter 16 Heroic. So it's kind of a shame that you can only get level 2 gloves. Hopefully later on they'll add them in like Chapter 7, and you can get like level 14 or 16 gear. That'd be kind of cool. The next gear item is the chest plate, and you can get this in Chapter 26 Heroic. Next up we have a couple locations for his Batarang. The first one is 3-6 normal, as you can see right there. Next up we have 312 Heroic, which is another place to farm Batman's weapon. So you can actually farm the first gear modifier there. So next up we have the helmet in 324 normal, Batman's cowl. And you can also get it in Chapter 412 Heroic. And if you're farming Atlantean Armor Aquaman, you're probably going to get a good defense roll eventually. So next up, in our third to last silver card, we have Deadshot. So we just found out that they added his gear recently. His headpiece is in 112 Heroic, and the gloves are in 124 Heroic. Very cool to see that they added in Deadshot's gear. It used to be available on the soft launch, but for some reason it was not available until the little hotfix. So the boots are also in 2-6 normal. You can also get Deadshot's boots in 224 Heroic as well, so you can farm that good roll in the first slot that way. And the way you can farm a good roll at level 5, a bad roll will have 2.5% defense, a good roll will have 4% defense or something like that. So that's how you can tell the difference there. So the chest plate for Deadshot is in 3-6 normal, and you can also get his chest plate in Chapter 5-6 Heroic. So you can farm a level 10 Deadshot chest plate if you want. The weapon is also in 318 normal, as you can see right there. And the weapon is also in Chapter 612 Heroic. So if you're farming Bane, you might as well farm Deadshot's gun here. So now we have Superman. Also a really popular card. Maybe not so much in Injustice 2, because the cards are pretty underwhelming. But Superman's chest plate starts out in Chapter 118 Heroic. And you can also get the chest plate in 2-6 normal. So unfortunately there's no way to actually get a good roll. You could spend 140 shards upgrading a gear item to level 5 and then disenchant it for 100. But totally up to you if you really want to do that. The weapon is in 218 Heroic, which is the lasers there. The helmet is in 318 normal. So a level 3 helmet. You can also get it in 312 Heroic, so you can farm a level 6 Superman headpiece. The boots are in Chapter 4-6 Heroic. And the gloves for Superman all the way in 424 Heroic. If you're farming Robin, you should have no problem getting this. And finally, our last silver card in this review, Catwoman's gear, is in Chapter 118 Heroic, the gloves. The chest plate is in Chapter 212 normal, and it is also in 218 Heroic if you want to farm that first gear slot to be good. So now her pants, they're in Chapter 224 normal. However, you can also get them in 424 Heroic while you're farming Robin. The weapon is in 312 normal, the whip. And the weapon is also in Chapter 518 Heroic, so you can farm a decent modifier and farm some flash fragments that way. And the helmet for Catwoman is in 324 Heroic, so if you're farming Emerald Green Lantern, you're probably going to be able to do that. So if you like this video on the Silver Character Master Gear list as of patch 1.5 for Black Canary, Green Arrow, Bane, Robin, Swamp Thing, the Joker, Dr. Fate, Cyborg, Gorilla Grodd, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Batman, Deadshot, Superman, and Catwoman. Please give this video a like rating, comment, subscribe, share this video amongst your friends, and as a favorite, check out my other Injustice 2 videos playlist, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, which are all HollywoodShono. And one thing to keep in mind, if you, for some reason, shatter Amazon Wonder Woman or Silver Aquaman's gear, you need to send a ticket into Warner Brothers customer support, and they'll be able to replace it for you. Same thing with Arkham Knight Batman. Hint, don't try to replace it. Now, with Mythic Wonder Woman, if you got her gear from Arena, you get awarded that. However, if you buy the early access, you can actually have 2 sets of gear, so you can gear her defensively or you can gear her offensively. But that only applies if you buy the early access. Obviously, with challenge characters like Sub-Zero that had an offer, that's the same thing. And for some reason, you can no longer buy the offers more than once. So, my BvS Superman, rest in peace. You'll be at 160 out of 200 fragments at the end of the day. Leave your comments down below if you like this video, and have a wonderful day, kids.
www.youtube.com/HollywoodShono. Subscribe, bitches!